Thank you, Carlo. Thank you for inviting me to be here in Asian Perspective. You said this morning that today was a day of first. So it's my first time here in Asian Perspective. My first time in this beautiful country, in Japan. And in fact, it's my first time in Asia. So thank you so much. Okay, I started working with pigs 20 years ago as practitioner. Then I moved to a genetics company, and now I am in BI. And during all this time, I have been making questions to myself, and I need answers. And one of the questions is, what is happening in the farm that allow agents move between different parts of the farm? How is it possible that one virus or bacteria appear in a part and another part of the farm? And in this, is BI developed this tool, is pathogen tracing kit, ptrack, to understand what is happening in the farms. But first of all, let me play a video to introduce the tool. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Boehringer Ingelheim presents ptrack, the first on-farm tool developed in collaboration with Accent Systems that will allow farmers to trace risks associated with pathogen-carrying agents like people or objects. When planning a control plan for a disease like PRRS, it is essential to follow a systematic approach like the 5-step process. The first and second steps aim at setting the goals and expectations and determine the current status of the farm. On the third step, we must identify the constraints, namely the biosecurity and management risks that we have in our farm or system. Then, we can propose the solutions, and finally, in step 5, we implement them and monitor the results. Some risks that complicate disease control are associated with pathogen-carrying agents, like objects, people and animals, and they normally remain undetected. Now, Boehringer Ingelheim introduces ptrack, the ultimate tool to monitor those risks with the beacon technology of Accent Systems. ptrack is a pathogen tracing kit that allows to trace and monitor multiple risks associated with pathogen-carrying agents in the farms. Objects, farm staff, visitors or fomites. Using ptrack, veterinarians and farmers can measure and analyze in real time risky events related with movements, for example, employees or visitors moving from a quarantine barn into the nursery or sharing certain tools or objects in different barns, like fattening and farrowing. Also, ptrack can measure positioning inside or outside buildings, and with this property, the areas of the farm associated with more risky events can be easily identified. For example, stepping outside onto the dirty side of the loading dock, which has been linked with new outbreaks of disease, can be detected faster and corrected earlier. PRRS is a complex disease that requires a systematic approach to control using all the best available tools. Boehringer Ingelheim continues to work on solutions that benefit the swine industry by focusing on all aspects of prevention. Now, with ptrack, it will be faster and easier to improve the implementation of biosecurity measures. Boehringer Ingelheim is committed to continue developing and offering innovative solutions and tools to help control PRRS and other challenging swine diseases. Prevention works, shaping the future of swine health.
Okay, PRRS is a complex disease, and we need a systematical approach to control it. You have heard about a 5-step process, and if you look at the figure, you can see that the biggest ball is the third step, to understand current constraints. And when we talk about this step, we are talking about biosecurity. Today, a lot of speakers have been talking about biosecurity, and in this point we are talking too about management. And in this context is where ptrack is important for us, for BI. When you talk with producers, all of them understand that the importance of prevention, the entrance of new virus or bacteria in the farm. And some farms look like apple trees. But what happens if the virus or bacteria is inside of the farm? We have to prevent the spread of this virus in the farm. If we see combat, Piho told about combat, if we saw combat or another tool to assess the biosecurity, we can see that a lot of farms has a lot of internal risk. Even farms with low external risk have a high internal risk. And for us, it's important who is carrying the agents. Could be pigs themselves, and could be the staff, workers, or different objects that they use in the farm. Imagine that this guy vaccines all the piglets in this pen, and he goes directly to the farrowing unit, and this piglet has a virus. So he's going to carry the virus from this pen to the farrowing unit. Or what happens if he goes directly to a pen with young animals? He can carry the virus. Worse is the situation if people go to the dock and they load a truck and they go directly to the farm. They can carry some agents. Worst situation is if they put dead animals in the box and they go directly to the farm, or if they make unexpected movements, as Piho told us, in the farm. When we design one farm, everything is very clear. In the map, everything is very clear, but when animals enter in the farm, we have to understand a lot of risky things. We have to understand what are production areas. We have to understand the risk of loading dogs, the risk of the box of the dead animals, and we have to keep on training the staff all the time. When we look one farm, for example, this one, sorry, this is a farm, and we have another farms in the same village. Here you see our farm, and another farm here, and another farm here. We understand that we have to prevent the entrance of agents from these farms to this another farm, but what happens in our farm? In our farm, we have several different units. For example, in this farm, here is the breeding gestation, the farrowing, the nursery. They have 2 fattening units and 1 GDU. We must prevent the movements of agents between all of these units, and we can use a color code, for example, for all the overalls. People with this overall have to go to gestation, and we can have different colors for both. But we need to go further, and I'm going to show you an example that we did in Spain with 5 farms. These 2 farms and these 2 farms are from the same production system, and these 5 farms are different because 2 of them are farrow to wing, 2 are farrow to feeder, another one is farrow to finish, but all of them are positive unstable farms. And we did 5-step process in all the farms. We made comeback in all the farms, and we run diagnostics in all the farms. I'm going to show you the example of 3 of these 5 farms. These 2 of the same production system, in green is PCR negative, and in red is positive PCR. We take samples all the months. When we started with the program, the farm was PCR positive in the nursery. And all the months was positive in the nursery, and sometimes the virus jumped to the farrowing. We depopulate the nursery, but we didn't depopulate the gill development unit. And the virus appeared again in the nursery, and it jumped again to the farrowing unit. In this another farm, it happens the same. We have some jumps from nursery to the farrowing, and when we depopulate the nursery, we find again the virus, and the virus jumps to the farrowing rate. This is a vaccine strain. In this another farm, it's a farrow to finish farm. When we started with the program, we had the virus in the fattening, and he moved to nursery. We depopulate the nursery and the finishing, and the virus disappeared, but we had another entrance of virus. And this new virus jumped to the farrowing, and then he will go to the nursery. So in this example, we can see here failures in internal biosecurity, and in this case, we can see failures in external and internal biosecurity. We sequencing the virus, and we make the phylogenetic tree. In the first example of two farms, we can see here that this strain is in one farm, and this another strain is in another farm. These farms are 1 kilometer apart, one of the another, but the virus don't move from one farm to another farm. This is vaccine strains. In the third farm, we started with this strain. We depopulate and eliminated this strain, and we had a lateral entrance of virus, but it spread in all the farm. We depopulate, and we eliminate this strain, and we found again a new strain. So they have failures in external biosecurity and in internal biosecurity. And we need to understand what's going on in the farm. As Edward Deming said, you can't manage what you don't measure. And we develop PTRAC to understand what's going on in the farm. PTRAC uses this beacon. A beacon is a Bluetooth emisser, and the signal of the Bluetooth is received by a mobile phone or another device. And when a worker with a mobile is close to the beacon, the mobile detects that where he is. If we put more than 2 or 3 beacons, we can triangle the people, and we always know where is the people in the farm and all the movements that they are doing in the farm. And the system, the mobile, sends the information to the cloud, and we can see, analyze, and manage all the information at real time. What we have to do is define risky areas in the farm and risky movements in the farm. For example, in our farm, if we have PCR positive in the nursery, for us, nursery is a risky area, and all movements with origin in nursery are risky movements. Of course, the dog of the lockdown area is always a risky area for us, and all movements from there are risky movements. But we can change the areas, the risky areas, whatever we want, because it's a dynamic tool. This is one of the farms. Here you can see the GDU, and here you can see 3 gestations unit, the farrowing unit, and the nursery. Here is the dog, and here is the box for the dead animals. So here you can see the dashboard of the tool that the veterinarian or the producer can see in his mobile phone. Here you can see all the movements that people do, the average of correct or incorrect movements, the different movements in time, and some alerts. I'm going to explain some results that we see in the farm. Here you can see all movements, but we can filter by risk, by people, by time, by area. We can filter whatever we want. In the workshop, I'm going to explain with more detail. But here you can see all the correct movements. For example, of all the movements who start in the dressing room are correct movements, because there is no risk, because people wear new boots or new overall. We can filter, and here you can see risk movements. For example, from the dead animal box, they go everywhere in the farm. They don't make a lot of risk movements, but they are very risky movements. And from the dog, they go everywhere in the farm too. So it's a very risky situation. We can filter and put off different risky movements. For example, we can put off no-risk movements. If you see here the average of movements, you see that more than 80% of movements are correct, but what happened with risky movements? We can see the evolution of movements in a period of time, a month, 2 months, etc. We can see the difference between movements in a week, the different days of the week, and we can see the difference between, we can see the movements between one origin and one destination zone. For example, from the dead pigs box, they go everywhere, but they don't go a lot of times, but with a lot of risk. From the loading out area, they go almost everywhere in the farm, but look at this bubble. The size of the bubble depends on the number of movements. And here you can see that from nursery, they go a lot of times to farrowing. And this is the farm where the virus is jumping from nursery to farrowing. So could be that this amount of movements have an impact in the spread of the virus into the farm. And this allows us to keep on training people. The objective of this tool is to train people to show them what they are doing wrong and starting to work properly. And now,
creo que instaurar este tipo de sistemas en granjas para el control de PIR nos ayudará a los técnicos de producción y a los veterinarios a poder instaurar un flujo de personal coherente con las ideas y las técnicas que queremos llevar a cabo dentro de esa explotación. De este modo, evitaremos recirculaciones del virus en zonas donde no queramos que exista esa posibilidad, cortando flujos de personal entre parideras y zonas de gestación o entre zonas de gestación, parideras y destetes. De este modo conseguiremos mantener más estable la granja y conseguiremos una producción final más exitosa.
Creo que esta sistema es muy buena para controlar el flujo de personal en la granja.
And the first one was the veterinarian. He is a worker, and now we are going to see the
encargado de la granja de madres, creo que es fundamental tener separadas las distintas fases. De modo que este sistema me permite de forma novedosa controlar los movimientos de mi personal en la granja. Así puedo ver cómo se mueven entre partos, gestaciones y cuarentena y analizar las consecuencias de estos flujos.
That was the opinion of the producer. Next step could be put beacons in different objects that people use in the farm. And we are developing an app for the mobile to have all the information in real time in your mobile, in the mobile of the producer, the mobile of the veterinarian, whatever. So, for summarize take-home messages, we need to minimize the dissemination of the agents into the farms. We have a tool who allows us real-time analysis and management of the staff movements in the farm. It's a dynamic tool because we can change the risk areas and the risk movements. For example, if we found a virus in the nursery or whatever, and allow us to keep training the staff in the farm. So make the pork be with you.